Welcome to another episode of New England Horror Files podcast. And tonight, it's just going to be me and Mary again. And we're talking about some new updates on the crazy lives we live in, the crazy haunted houses we live in, and such things. So we're just chatting a little bit about what's been going on. But tell us what the latest. Tell us the latest.
This week at my haunted house. I must say, though, before we continue, your intro voice was very radio worthy. That was great.
Okay, cool. I like it.
Damn it! What?
Hey, radio worthy. I dig it.
No, it sounded like it was perfect. All right. So yeah, okay. So as we know, as previously discussed on the show, I live in a 18 something or other very haunted house. It's a normal house. I mean, we live here. It's functional, but it's wicked haunted, and we knew this the first day we moved in. We have done a video about this. It's called what's it called? The Haunting of the Benjamin F. House, I think, or the
something like that.
Something like that.
It's good stuff. Check it out.
It's a good video. You should check it out. Oh, I remember that video.
And I told you no yesterday.
That was right between recess and lunch. All right.
Oh my gosh. There's so many quotable lines in that movie. I love it.
Oh, no kidding. I mean, it's perfect.
Putt from the rough.
I just thought of that scene the other day, too. I think of Good Will Hunting randomly. I'll be like, yeah, that was a good scene. Okay, so I do like to, as things occur like real frequently, like there's just always something happening, and to a point, it's just become like my freaking life at this point. So I don't always, it's not like shocking to me anymore. However, sometimes things are like just a little odd. So I kind of like to update you guys and keep abreast of the current haunting that's going on in my house today, or this week. So. Last night, I'm laying in bed just watching whatever I was watching, being a lazy bones. I get a message from my teenager, and he says, "You good?" And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" Like, and I'm like, "Am I making too much noise?" Like, I was just laying there watching a show, like quietly, So I have no idea what he's talking about. And eventually it comes out where he says, "I heard you coughing." And I'm like, "What? I wasn't coughing." He's like, "Yeah, like really bad, like like what? Hacking up a lung kind of coughing." Mind you, it's like 1:00 in the morning, 1:30. I don't even know what time it was. So like it's not like there's anything nobody else is awake. He's downstairs with his door open. I'm upstairs with my door open. And so I'm like, "Dude, I wasn't coughing." He's like, "Come on." I'm like, "No, I really wasn't. Like, I would tell you if I was. Like, you really heard, are you sure? Okay. Was it outside?" He's like, "No, it came from upstairs." And I'm like, "Well, we have a haunted house, buddy." Like, I was not coughing. So he heard such coughing. He described it as, let me actually pull up the text right quick. I'm pretty sure he described it as hacking up a lung or something to that effect. So I'm like, nobody was hacking up a lung up here. So.
Whoa.
Okay, so yeah,
that's pretty fucked up.
I'm sorry. It was 2:12 in the morning. He says,
in the morning.
He said, I get this text from him. "You good, dog?" And I'm like,
dog.
Yeah.
Let's talk about his text.
I know,
That's the real horror.
"You good, bruh?"
Bruh.
Come your mother. No, I don't mind. So I'm like, I'm watching a sad movie. Like, I was thinking, was I crying too loud? Because I cry when I watch sad movies. No. And he says, "You were dying coughing with a sad face." I'm like, "Coughing? I was not coughing." He says, "I heard bad coughing." I'm like, "Okay. From where?" He said, "Upstairs." I said, "It definitely wasn't me. #haunted house." And then I was like, all right, maybe it was the neighbors. Was it outside? He's like, "It was you. There's no way it wasn't," he said. So this is like what was going, like this is the conversation. Like he's like, I heard you, and when I came downstairs a little while later, he was being sincere. He wasn't, you know, he's just, you okay? What do you mean you're not coughing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, if we cleared all the, he was definitely from upstairs, and I'm like, you must have heard. I mean, I've heard things in this house. I haven't heard coughing, but the craziest thing that I will hear all the time. This one freaks me out because I'll be, hanging around whatever upstairs, and I hear the crash from hell in my living room, as if someone knocked the TV over, sort of crash. And I'm like, what the hell? But then I'm like, oh shit, maybe someone's breaking in. So I get up, I go all the way downstairs, I check every window, door, bedroom, closet, under the bed, under the cat. Like I check everything. Nothing is amiss. This happens, I don't know, every 3 months, every 2 months. It will happen out of freaking nowhere in the middle of the damn night. It's happened to all of us. And there's never anything. And it's from our apartment. It's not the neighbor. It's in our apartment. So that's a thing that happened a few weeks ago. So we definitely hear things. Other things happen too. Like the other day, we were all sitting around in the living room. My dining room and my living room are kind of together, like adjoined to the kitchen. And suddenly, the kitchen light comes on. Like we're sitting there, it's the middle of the day, lights are off. Kitchen light comes on, and we're all like, nobody was there to turn that light on. In fact, my kitchen light, I don't know if you've seen it, but I have like a basket that kind of like hangs with all our random crap in it, and it covers the light switch. So like it's like dually covered. Like it didn't just cut, like who turned the damn light on? And it's a legit switch. There's only one switch, like, so that was a thing. What the heck else happened? There were a few things. Last night, I will say, interestingly, every so often in my bedroom, I will see things like I've seen. So the way my room's set up is if I'm laying in bed, let's say I'm at 6 o'clock, my door is at 11 o'clock, right? So I will see out of the corner of my eye, looks like something, maybe not a full body apparition, but like something coming into the, I'll see movement. And that doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. And so last night while I was watching TV out of the corner of my eye, I kept seeing like something was moving in like at the foot of my bed area.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. That happens. I don't know. It's not every day. It's probably like every other week or so, maybe once a month, not once a month, but maybe a couple times a month. And last night it was happening a lot. I kept seeing, we have brass doorknobs, and I kept seeing like reflections in the doorknobs, like just out of the corner of your eye, you'll see that across the room. It was a little bit freaky, but again, at this point, I'm used to it.
Dude.
Yeah, dude.
This is creepy.
No,
like I've been in your house, and I've never felt anything. I don't know. It's always.
No. It's fine. It's not like, that's the thing, and that's why I say this in the Benjamin F. House video, is that hauntings aren't always like, the Conjuring house. It's not always like that, and frequently it's actually not. It's little things like this, like the damn light just coming. I mean, our house, I think, is incredibly active, and I really think, I think it's people who used to live here, and they're just still here. And that's fine. I mean, I don't think there's nothing super scary about it besides the fact that it is scary. But sorry, I need water. I'm talking too damn much. We were 2 weeks ago. Me and my husband are just like, end of the night stuff. And our TV turns on all of a sudden. We have a TV in our bedroom. And it just turned on. It's nighttime. Like, we're not watching TV. We don't watch TV every day, but suddenly it was on. We're like, what the hell? The remote was just like sitting on the windowsill. It wasn't. Nobody rolled over onto it or anything like that. There was no explanation for it. That has happened a few times. Maybe in the past 6 months, it's happened twice. So things like that definitely happen here quite a bit. It's like I've said, it's like it's just become so commonplace, and like We don't have, like I always see like the people who buy the haunted house and then they can leave, like they have the luxury of being able to leave. But like, have you seen this fucking economy recently? Like, where are we can't move. We can't just move. Like, that's
Yeah,
not an option. Like,
kidding.
you know what I mean? Yeah, like we're working on, like we're working on it, but like we can't just do that. We don't have the option to do that. This is where we live and we can't go anywhere. Now, granted, if it was a scary situation and we ever thought that like it was affecting the kids, which I don't think it does, it doesn't seem to affect the kids. And we try to have a very matter of fact approach about it. Like, we don't want it to be scary. We want it to be, something that we talk about and, within reason. I don't want to scare the kids because sometimes that stuff by itself is just scary. But
Mm.
my kids are just like, whatever, it's just the ghost. Like, they're not, that we're getting to the point where none of us are phased by it. And it's just like, all right, well, whatever. It's just like living with someone else kind of in a way, but, or like a neighbor. Like, it's hard to describe that, but um, I can't really think right now of other things that have happened. We have had there's definitely been more things. There was one thing recently, it was kind of bigger and I can't think of what it was. Jeez, I'm sorry. I'm talking a lot and my throat is really tickled.
The ghost. Sorry.
It's a ghost.
I shouldn't joke of such things.
The light coming on was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah, we still have a lot of things go missing. That happens a lot. And it's funny because it wicked targets my husband. He'll be like, "Where is my hat? I put it right here and it's gone," like every day. Like every day. I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you anymore. Like, yeah, got no answer for you. It's just the ghost took your hat. I don't know. So that's definitely a thing. So yeah, that's this week on my haunted house. Good times.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes. It's a real New England haunted house.
I wish I had some story that could match that, but then
No.
it's pretty smooth sailing on my end. So I mean,
I mean, that's good.
no ghosts there.
No, it's better because, that's fine.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I don't mind.
I'm okay. So that brings us to our topic for tonight, which is literally, in my opinion, like one of the most extreme haunted areas, whatever. That, I mean, in my experience, this is another Vermont story. Again, we have done a video on this one too. This is the Vermont Railroad Disaster, and this is one of the most, I mean, it's one of the most famous Vermont haunting stories.
For anybody not familiar with the tragedy, this was 1887. There was a passenger train passing through West Hartford, Vermont, I believe en route to Montreal. And they went over a high overpass, over a wide river. What's the name of that river? I'm not sure. But they were going so fast that a couple of the rear cars derailed, and they ended up dragging the whole train into the water. Everything caught fire. A lot of people lost their lives, unfortunately, and some people were able to be saved. It's said to be a very cursed area. It's said to have a lot of negative energy for obvious reasons. So that kind of, with that in mind, this is where Mary was. So yeah, like what was your experience there?
Yeah. So yeah, this was a pretty serious, railroad accident on this bridge. And the video we did about this, it tells my whole experience in video form. But I feel like hearing it from this was definitely one of the strongest experiences I have ever had. So we decide, like it was, I can't even, well, I will describe it to you, but it's hard to put into words how this felt. So I had heard this story. Like I said, it's a famous Vermont tragedy. I think there were 100 people in the car ish, 85 to 90 passengers. It's late at night in February. It's cold as hell. I mean, that night I think it was -18 or so. I mean, that's really freaking cold. So, everyone's on the train. They've got at that point, they still had oil lamps and coal burning stoves. So there's like flames on board. And what's interesting about this story is that now there's actually a few, there are a few theories. Some say that they were going too fast. Some say that the axle broke. But in all of my research while I was looking into this, I cannot find a definitive answer to how the train actually failed. Like what actually happened to cause it to fail. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really interesting in that way. So, as we're doing New England Horror File stuff, I'm like, hey, why don't we go check this out? Because we've never been. It's not that far. The kids have just gone to school, so we have the morning. So me and the husband, we get in the car and we drive. I think it's it's about an hour away, maybe. So I'm like, how are we gonna know it when we get there? Because so the way it is you get onto, I believe it's 14. You start heading west from the Lebanon, New Hampshire, White River Junction area, and the road is a winding road alongside the river, the White River, and you're heading west. And I shouldn't have worried because as soon as that bridge came into view, I felt enveloped in dread, anxiety, fear, sadness. Like I couldn't, all of a sudden I felt this, it was almost like this weight in my chest. It wasn't, it was almost like, and this might sound crazy, but this is what I felt. It felt like the whole vicinity around where this had happened was almost in like this bubble. And as soon as you enter the bubble, you can just feel it. The weight of this event. And that's the only thing I can think of what is happening. So I was fine. We were fine. We're just driving along. We weren't arguing. There had been no crazy international incidents. Nobody cut us off. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
you just went into the bubble. You just went into the bubble and you just felt it immediately.
Yeah, and it was like I felt like this sadness that wasn't mine. Like I started tearing up and I'm like, why do I feel this way? I remember saying to my husband, like, I can't describe how I feel. Like I'm crying and I'm like, I'm trying to not be dramatic about it because I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But like, this is how I felt, like the most intense, deepest sadness out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I also felt like, of course we had to stop. There's like a historical marker for it, the green and gold historical marker. It's right where, it's kind of like the river itself is below the road. Like there's kind of a embankment. So, it's when you're on the road, you're above the river, maybe, I don't know, 20 feet or less. I'm not sure. I'm not super good with stuff like that, but I'm going to guess 20 feet or less. So you would have to go down to the river.
Probably 35 feet.
It could be. Yeah. So when you're, I know, yeah, it's probably 50 feet. So if you hear the story, there's a farm right next to the historical marker where they actually brought all of the bodies, and they brought, the bodies they could recover. They brought to the farmhouse, and like that's where they it was kind of like a staging area for like, rescue efforts and whatnot. So you park, the only pull off on that road, there's no sidewalk there. It's actually very hard to access it any other way besides this pull off, and the pull off is right in front of that farm. So what the hell was I saying? We pull off at the farm, and I almost didn't want to get out. But I had to, I wanted to, but like my body was like, I started shaking. I started to feel this, almost like my head was heavy, like, and I got sort of disoriented. Like I didn't like everything in my body was like, don't just leave. You know what I mean? Like, don't do it. And I got out of the car, and of course I want to cross over, but my balance was off. Like, and I felt there's cars going by. Now it's not busy. I mean, this is Vermont. Vermont's like quiet usually anywhere you go. So there's cars going by. It's not terrible, but I felt like I couldn't cross the road. Like I had to take photos. Like I'm trying to feel it out. I want to see like what's what is this place kind of stuff. And um, I was just overwhelmed by all of these different sorts of feelings that were not mine. And that was the craziest thing about it because I mean it's a gorgeous spot. There's this bridge, they've rebuilt it. Um, I guess at the time it was a mix of wood and it might have been all wood, but obviously the tracks are um, were metal, but it was a wooden bridge at the time. And now it's all rebuilt and the pillars are I think the original pillars. I forget the whole story at this point, but and it's the White River and there's mountains in the background. It was a beautiful day. There was no reason other than I had entered this area that is legit like completely absorbed with this tragedy and all of I mean this story the cars go off the railroad bridge. They fall, I don't know, 20, 50 feet. I mean, I'm not even sure the distance.
Somewhere between 20 and 50 feet.
Oh, hold on. Plunged approximately 40 feet.
Yep. Okay.
It's so cold out that the White River is frozen. So it's cold as hell. It's dark. It's like 2 a.m. The car, something happens, something fails. The 4 cars they break away from the rest of the train and go crashing under the ice. So already these people have fallen 40 feet. It's cold as hell. Oh shit, big tragedy. They're probably knocked out of their beds and their seats, whatever. The car, at least one of the cars, falls completely upside down. The oil lamps start spilling all over the place. The coal is out. Everything catches on fire. Like, so not only did you just get, thrown onto the ice, but also it starts to catch on freaking fire. I mean, people were trapped inside. They couldn't get out. Like it was pandemonium. There's this story. One of the stories from this situation is a father and his son. And this really got me when I read this. The son is able to get out, but for some reason the father is like his legs are trapped by something and he cannot get out. And he's telling his son, you have to go on, and here's the wallet and here's the stuff or whatever. Go, get out of here. Kid has to like watch his father freaking burn. I mean, like
yeah.
That and everybody else. I mean, people arrive, the people from the farm come out, the local people come out, and they're trying to assist and do everything they can. But I mean, this thing is on fire quickly. The bridge is on fire. I mean, like, so I just think of like how hot a campfire gets, right? Can you imagine a whole train car on fire? So,
pretty brutal.
I guess there was a guy who he was in one of the rear cars or something, and he realized what was happening, and he jumped before they got to the bridge, jumped out of the moving train onto the embankment, and was there to was the one to go and get help. I think he ran to the farm and sounded the alarm, basically. So, and I think that guy ended up breaking his leg. He survived, to my understanding. But, I mean, imagine watching this. Even, I guess they said that, they were finding, charred body parts, and even though everything's on fire, there's also like so cold that people are getting frostbite and hypothermia and, all these things. Like, that's just a fucking tragedy. Like, it's, I can't imagine being there and going through that. You know what I mean? The people who died in such a tragic, horrifying way, but also the people that got out of it, the people who were helping. I mean, just all around. This is just an insane situation.
Yeah, if that happened in your backyard in the middle of the night, it's probably
No
put
shit.
a number on your evening.
Yeah, no kidding. You think? Just like, I just and so when I get there and this happened, I wasn't expecting it, but it was definitely some of the heaviest shit I've ever experienced. And so I felt like I said I didn't want to get out, but I did. I tried to cross the road to go get better pictures from the other side of the road. My legs are shaking. I feel unbalanced. Um, Cars are when a car would go by, I could feel it, like the force of it. I felt like I was going to fall over. Like it was a very surreal, almost like I was walking in like a dream. Maybe I'm not under the influence of anything. I'm legit sober. Like there was. So then
Indeed.
we get the video, we get the pictures, we get back in the car, and we leave, and then it was gone, like dissipated, lifted, gone. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, I was shook. I was shook by this for days. I remember when I got home or on the way home or whatever, I wrote it down and I share, like I jotted down my notes of what went on so that I wouldn't, not that I would ever forget it, but like, just so that in the moment, so it's fresh, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to document that, but I couldn't, like, holy shit. If you I don't want to say that. I don't want to say, like, I don't believe in exploiting shit, like exploiting tragedies. I don't think you should. I don't know. Like, I'm a person who I like going places and I like seeing things. And when I hear a story like this, or hear of this isn't just a story, it really happened. But I'd like to see the area. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see,
Yeah,
like,
for sure, for sure.
you know what I like, what's it really like there? Like, what would this have been like? I mean, I can imagine people scrambling up and down that bank trying to get to help people. What is the White River like when it's frozen? The White River is a huge river. It's a very, very wide river. It's not super deep, but it's very wide. And, like, to be so cold and 2 o'clock in the morning, I could just see it with this cold ass clear night with a train on fire in the damn frozen river. Like,
What
of course,
gets
now.
me about that story, right, is how you say you kind of showed up and it was just like a bubble of energy. You just kind of came through and then it kind of vanished. It's almost like a train moving. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Oh, speaking of train, that was the other thing. We heard a train whistle. Let me look at. Hold on. We were sitting there at one point at the pull off, and we heard a train whistle.
That's
And I'm like,
fucking
oh, there must be a train coming by. Waiting, waiting, waiting. Nothing. There was no train whistle. Yeah, I can read some excerpts from the video. Once it came into view, it was like a hammer to my chest. My whole body tingled, and I was enveloped in a wave of sadness and terror. It was hard to exactly place what I was feeling. I tried to verbalize it to my husband, who was driving, but I was overcome with choking sobs and tears welled in my eyes. I fought the urge to scream and cry, all the while not understanding what was happening to me. Tears streamed down my cheeks, and I couldn't grapple with feeling this way for no apparent reason. Like, yeah, it was. It was like, well, no, it was like we were the train almost. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because we moved, but it didn't. And I actually I want to return there to kind of check it out again, but like I just haven't been able to. So I would like to see if maybe it happens again, or if I'm expecting it, will it happen again? I don't know. I don't have another experience to kind of compare it to. But my first time there, it was like, yeah, God, I remember shaking. I wanted to leave. I didn't want to be there. Yeah, I had, like, I remember my whole body shaking, and I couldn't understand why. I mean, I understood why, but it was like, what an experience. I've been to tons of places, and like I always look for, all right, what happened here? What does it feel like? I'm very big into energy and what it feels like. Like I'm one of those. So like this was unlike anything I've ever experienced in its completeness. Like I almost felt drunk. Um, I'm reading right now. I'm reading what I wrote, like the write up for the video. Oh, that was the other thing. While I was standing on the bank, or the top of the embankment, I thought I could almost hear faint screaming, like on the water. But I tried to pass that off as just like, how sometimes water makes noise, like when it's raining or when you're by water, like that's moving. It sometimes makes noise that you're like, what was that? Turns out it was the water.
Right.
But I definitely heard noises that sounded like, definitely like not quiet screaming, faint screaming. I was like, no, crazy. Yeah, like no. Yeah. So what else?
Pretty heavy story.
Yeah, 30 some odd people died. Either burned to death, suffocated to death, or buried in the rubble. Imagine the smell. Can you like? I just imagine being there. Yeah, it was just so. What a tragedy.
No kidding, yeah.
Let me see. I said we took. Oh, and we did. Okay, we smelled burning wood too. We took a drive around to see if we could access the other side. We couldn't. And then returned one more time to the historic marker. We smelled burning wood now when we hadn't smelled anything in the area earlier. We glanced at each other and pulled back onto the road, and as I was about to comment, the shriek of a train whistle interrupted our words. I jumped and looked around, but saw no train coming. This place is insane, I managed, overwhelmed by it all. I don't want to be here. We left, making our way towards home through the back roads. As we left the area, the tears and sorrow and anxiety slowly faded away. Within a few miles, I felt fine, as if nothing had happened. Freaking crazy, dude. I've definitely been like, I've been to some crazy places, but I have to say, hands down, this place felt the craziest. I think yeah, it definitely was the heaviest. It was very apparent, came out of nowhere. It was like, holy shit. I mean, if you think about what occurred there, I mean, it makes sense to me, you know? And it's funny because I'd looked up, as a person such as myself, I'll randomly Google, haunted New Hampshire, like whatever, like haunted places in whatever, like.
And then we just go there.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that. Cool, creepy places in Western Massachusetts, like whatever. It's kind of like what we do. Me and my husband have been doing this since one of our first dates was literally to a cemetery. I kid you not.
Very interesting.
Yeah, we went and we took pictures, and we were taking pictures of orbs in the cemetery, and that was the first time yeah. This is we knew it was meant to be when our first date was to a cemetery. And that was I was unfamiliar with what orbs were. I had no idea, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And like we've spent the next, I don't want to say the next, however, but we've spent time like researching and figuring it out and getting opinions and all that. And yeah, so there's that. We do this, and this place.
Well, yeah, I mean, so like that, these energies are real. Like these places hold.
Oh yeah,
hold things.
I absolutely believe that. Like, I am a person. I know there are people who. Yeah, I mean, there are people who don't believe in ghosts, which I find fascinating. But there are people who don't believe in ghosts, and that's your prerogative, whatever. I am not one of those people. I absolutely believe in ghosts. I believe in energy. I believe in all of that. I try to be very careful with it. I don't. I am a God-fearing Christian, so that my faith comes above anything else, and I'm not afraid of it. However, I do try to be careful with, I do pray on things, and I have prayers of, I don't want to say prayers of protection, but kind of, like, I don't know if that's the right thing to call them, um, but I totally believe in it. Like, I live in a haunted house. There are things here that you can't explain it any other way. There is, and I look for the logic, right? Like, I do. Like, okay, I hear a train whistle. There must be a train coming. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
look, it's coming from the direction of where the tracks disappear into the trees. Okay, so it sounded like it was about a minute or two away. No trains coming. There's no other train tracks. Like, oh, well, what was that? You know what I mean? Like, is it
Didn't end up seeing a train, so what happened?
yeah, so so I definitely try to be logical about things, but like, when I have this gripping, panic anxiety attack out of absolutely nowhere for no reason, and I start crying and shaking, I don't do that without provocation. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I know myself. That this was completely something I've never experienced anything like this. So I've read this story several times, and I've seen accounts of it, and other people have covered it. I don't think this has been covered nearly as much as it should have been. Presently, this was definitely an interesting thing about this story, which I'll get to in a second. But so my point is that I've seen coverage of this, and I've heard all these things. People will sometimes smell burning wood. They'll hear the train whistle. They'll hear blah blah blah. They feel, there's tons of accounts of people who experienced what I experienced. So, like, for years I kind of see that, but I just kind of was like, whatever. Like, you don't. It's like, for me, until you actually experience it, it's like it's not really. It's like it's not real, or, like, I don't want to say it's not real, but the impact is less. You know what I mean? Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Like, the impact of someone saying, "Well, that's haunted," like, okay, great, like, it's whatever. Okay, cool. It's a place we'll get to one day. And then, when I finally get there and had this experience, I was like, wow. It was a very um, sobering experience, I guess. I guess people were like, they had to, like, watch it because people were going in and, like, trying to steal things and steal bones. Like, people came from all over the country. It was like crazy at the time. And I'm like, damn, in 1887, how many people were in the damn country to, like, show up here like this? This is like Vermont. It's not like, you know what I mean? And at the time, it was way less populated. Like, this was Plainfield, Vermont would have been like, I don't want to say in the middle of nowhere. Not Plainfield. This is Hartford. Hold on. West Hartford. Well, I guess White River Junction is kind of a bigger area, but yeah. So we've got this excerpt from St. Johnsbury, Caledonian, February 10th, 1887, which kind of talks about, like, the aftermath and recovering the dead. Do you
Yeah,
want to read?
yeah, I'm going to read that for you guys. Recovering
Yeah.
the work of recovering the dead bodies began at daybreak and continued without interruption until dark. The news of the disaster quickly spread, and curiosity seekers from all the country around poured in and began to dig over the debris. Probably 5,000 people swarmed down on the ice during the day Saturday. At midnight Saturday, the scene of the wreck was fascinating, a silent horror. Over it all shone with the moon's glimmering rays, and on either bank there were bonfires. 3 tall piers stood up from the water like monuments, and between the piers, stretching from bank to bank, was a black line of ashes. Early Sunday morning, the ghastly work was resumed, many thousands of people in the country about flocking to the scene, actuated by curiosity. The few who were able had gone to their homes. The wounded were being tenderly cared for in the neighboring farmhouses and in Hartford and White River Junction, while, under direction of the officers of the road, the search for bodies continued. In an undertaking shop nearby was a sight that few people cared to witness. Of the 28 bodies burned to a crisp that lay in a ghastly row, only 4 or 5 were whole. These were drawn up and distorted by the flames, with arms and hands in positions which seemed to express the agony of their death. Some of them were concealed by blankets. Strong men were led fainting out of the room, unable to endure the appalling spectacle. It was not until Monday noon the search for bodies was completed, but even after this, there were picked up, here and there among the debris, bits of bone, various ornaments, pieces of silver, etc. No further bodies had been found up to 2 o'clock. The total number of those killed was then put down at 35, but with the chance that it may be more. Every once in a while, the workmen found pieces of bone, probably the parts of those bodies recovered.
Freaking horrifying.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it really is. I actually want to listen to our video.
Yeah. Yeah, and if anybody else wants to check it out, it is a video on the YouTube channel, which we will link in the comments. I forget the exact title because I'm slow, but
Central Vermont Railroad Disaster.